Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So I'm working back on the Tanaka model 700 by Tanaka Works, as you can see. So last episode you would have seen me getting this up and running again, and actually impressively it was working really well, so I'm really impressed with it so far. Okay, so issue I've got so far is with the Sear, I believe, because for whatever reason the bolt sometimes seems to cock, sometimes seems to not. So that's my first protocol to try and sort out today. So what I need to do is I need to take the trigger box off, which means I first of all need to remove this part here, is my understanding, because so far that seems to be the main thing that's sort of interacting with this and holding that in place. This, I think, can stay in situ, so I don't think that is such a problem. But there are two cross pins here which seem to hold everything in place. The only way I can get to, well, that one actually holds this in by the looks of things, so that will obviously be coming off. So first things first, I'm going to get this pin out. And that seems to want to come straight out, which is good news. The next one might be a bit more, no, that literally is just pushed straight out. So obviously paying attention to which orientation that spring goes in, because that is going to now spring out. I can lift the trigger box off. So I got, when I spoke to KJ Works, a bag full of Sears. I actually only asked for one, but you know, they gave me a load of them. So I do have a new striker, which the striker is steel, so I don't think that's so much of a problem. But it might be worth changing at the same time, just so we've got all fresh internals. So I might just change it while we're there. So by the looks of things, I need to get this pin out, which doesn't look like it's going to be such a fight. Well, I've said that now, haven't I? That does feel really tight in there, really tight. So it might just need cleaning. So I'm going to get some, look, we're very dirty already. I'm going to get some cloths and I'll clean this out. Feels like this housing is either, you know, needs lubricating or is just squished a little bit, because that is quite tight in that. And you can see it doesn't want to naturally pop up. So I might just get something in there and just spread that just a tiny bit, because to me it looks like it might be squished. Now I can't go mad because this is obviously just pot metal. I don't want to see straight away that's already making a difference. Now it is held sort of together here, but I don't think that's necessarily such a problem. Let's just make sure this screw is not tight. That is not going to be helping at all, because that is going to be allowing it to pinch in at the top, whereas we want that screw to pull it back out. So that's definitely not going to be helping. Let's tighten that up. That is immediately a lot better just from that one. See if this screw is tight. It's not. That's now tight. Look at that, straight away. Straight away, that has fixed that. And that was the problem we were having. That was literally the issue we were having. And that has just fixed it. I bought these new parts under the proviso that was what I needed. Turns out, don't need any of it. All I needed to do was do that screw up, and then it's fixed. I don't even have to take it apart. I'm going to lubricate it though. So a little bit of oil. Yep, perfect. Working every time now. Well, that is a win. I didn't even have to take the thing apart. So I'm going to get this back together now. That pin goes through the spring, and that will hopefully then go through the housing. Yep, straight in. I must say, very impressed with Tanaka with this so far. It is a joy to work on this thing. Really good. Really nicely made. Everything seems to just, you know, There isn't any like self-tapping screws holding stuff together. It's all tapped and bolted together. Really nice. Really, genuinely quite impressed with them. Just goes to show I haven't messed around with anything Tanaka really before, doesn't it? Look at that, straight away. Now, unfortunately, my camera died after the trigger box got working, but we reinstalled the bolt and everything worked fine, so all good. Now, so this is a different day where I started working on the refinishing of some of the parts, so that's why we haven't carried on from the previous footage. Now, the reason why you see it all completely in pieces here is that the surfaces are all quite worn. You can see here we've got this very sort of bare metal looking finish here. You can see inside the trigger guard as well, got the same. A little bit on the side of this as well. And then also if we look at the bolt, you can see some lot of wear here, and also the handle itself has gone very bare metal, which I don't think is too big an issue. But I'd like to, as it was with all of my projects, I don't really have anything which is battle worn. I prefer stuff to look fresh and new. One of the other things I am changing is I'm changing the outer barrel. So this is the original Tanaka outer barrel at the moment. I've ordered a Action Army one. That will mean that it will be slightly shorter, which is nice because it is a bit long in my mind. So it will be a bit shorter. Also, there's some marks on this, and this is anodized, and I can't easily touch this up, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to leave that as is. I've since fitted the scope on it. It is a Richter optic, which is just a cheap scope off of eBay, basically. But for airsoft, I must say, really good scope from what I've just seen so far. Lenses are very clear. Now, what we're going to be doing today then is trying to tart this up a little bit. So initially what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-black all these parts. And when I say re-black, most of this stuff is a chemical black, which is why it goes kind of wears through. It's not paint, as a lot of people assume it is. So what we're going to be using is this stuff, Abbey Blue Gel. Now this is really for doing steel, and it works really well on steel. All of this is alloy. So I'm not expecting miracles, but it should turn the surface a darker finish, so it does all match. The other thing I need to sort are the stocks. Now these are the original stocks that I got for it. You can see they have a really nice sort of textured finish. The downside is there are some areas where that texturing is worn off because it is an old airsoft gun now. You can see that even more so on the stock handle here, around here, it's gone really bad, and same on this side here. So I want to refinish this. So I've since cleaned it down. I've masked up the butt pad, which I've now fitted into place. It was just loose before. I fit it in place with some good old-fashioned glue, and that's holding on really nicely now. However, I should have really waited until I painted this. And that's right, I'm going to paint this. So I'm actually going to go for I was going to go black still, but I am going to go for a like a military green, like an OD, olive drab. But if it was just to paint over it, you aren't going to see all these edges where this is all worn off. And I want to really try and recreate this finish if I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some filler primer, and I'm just going to get it to spatter onto this, which should give us the same kind of look. I'm going to do it all over so that I get a good even finish, and then it'll repaint it. So I've cleaned it all down, cleaned in here as well because it's quite dirty in there. Given it a good scrub down, and now I'm going to go outside and get it painted. And I'll show you the end result once I've done that. In regards to the bluing, this isn't something I can really show you because I need to be in a well-ventilated area, and I need to be able to wash it off straight away afterwards as well. So I'll show you, if I can, how I've gone about doing it. I've not used this brand before, but I've used something similar. So I will show you if I can, but if I can't, then I'll just show you the end result in a moment. Guys, so I've had a go at trying to retexture these stocks. This is my attempt. So what I've done is I've used some filler primer. And with the filler primer, what I've done is rather than actually spraying it on, I have very, very lightly pressed on the nozzle and it's spattered. It's basically where you're not fully engaging the nozzle. And you get this kind of spattering effect. Now, some points I've had to layer it up lots to try and get as much texture as I can. So yeah, I've layered quite a lot on, and the idea of that is it's just to give that sort of rough texturing finish that the original had. Some areas were quite bad, so I've had to go quite a lot over it. But that's now ready for me to put some colour on. So I say we've got olive drab for this. So I'm going to go and paint it. I'll show you the end result once it's finished. Once we've finished though, I will be putting on some clear, probably some matte or satin lacquer. Okay guys, so I'm currently doing the stock. So what we're now going to do is refinish some of these parts. So to refinish these parts, I'm using the blue gel. And the instructions here basically are pretty self-explanatory. So it's just apply onto a clean cloth and apply, leave for a few seconds, then rinse off with cold water. Repeat as necessary for deeper bluing. So yeah, we're gonna have a little go at this then. So it is nasty stuff, it is gel. So I am gonna try to be quick with this. I don't want to take too long. Right, so let's have a little go then. So a bit of gel on a clean cloth. Okay, so I've just done that, and it's made, as far as I can tell, no difference. So we're just going to reapply. I think this time I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. Okay, so I've gone over a few of these now. This is the second application on the magazine. It's definitely darkened it down. I wouldn't say it's returned it to a black finish. The trigger guard as well, yeah, it's okay. I think it does, well, I know it does depend on what kind of metal you're doing it on, but it's definitely darker than it was. But this plate definitely, you can see, is blacked down quite nicely there. So it does really depend on the material, I think. Again, that section has blacked down quite nicely as well. So, yeah, it's starting to work. I'm definitely going to need to do a few more applications to get it anywhere near where I want it to be. Okay, guys, so this is... After a little bit of time, I've done a few applications now on certain parts. Magazine, it's going, but it's by no means better. It's all right. However, some parts I feel have gone quite well. The bolt handle, even though this looks kind of grey, once I've oiled it, which you're supposed to do once you've finished, I think that will really help it. And it's definitely a lot better than it was. Is it perfect? No. Is it back to original finish? No, definitely not. But it's a lot better than it was, because it was just basically shiny. Same with the trigger guard. It's this sort of grey finish, but it's better than it was. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that I have got a few other bits and pieces to attend to. I'm waiting on the new barrel. I've also ordered the Action Army steel bolt. Now, I actually ordered this quite early on in the build. And I think I probably jumped the gun a little bit because I probably didn't need to do it. But equally, it'd be a nice addition. Something I can swap in and out. Obviously, the whole benefit of this, and the thing that a lot of people sell this on, is the fact that it is adjustable FPS. But realistically, once you've set the FPS, you're really going to leave it. So I don't think that's really such a big deal. So I'm not too bothered by that. But, you know, it's something that we'll work on at a later stage. The only other thing I am going to do to this is the bolt itself. Is that when the bolt is in, there's this surface here that you can see has gone shiny because it's being drawn back and forth, like so. Now, what I felt I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to remove the blacking off this and just have it as silver, because I think that will look a lot better than just a scratched up area, because this sort of grey finish is very indicative of like pot metal parts. So, which is why I've spent some time re-blacking some of these parts. So, I mean, that was what we originally had on the charging handle, and you can see that's a lot darker now than that was. And I'm sure if I kept going, I could probably get this almost back to black, but I'm not expecting miracles. In the day, it is only pot metal. If this was steel, it'd be a different story entirely. So, yeah, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take this out and I'm going to get the black off of this. So what I'm probably going to do is just sand it to begin with, and then I'll probably use a wire wheel and a drill to get a sort of nice machined finish out of it. So this is my attempt. So what I initially used was a little wire wheel on a drill, sorry. And then I've gone over with some 400 wet and dry paper. And I'm not looking for a mirror finish here. I just want like a silver machined finish, which basically I've just wrapped it around and just moved it back and forth to get this finish. So when it goes back into the receiver, got this nice silver bolt here. So perfect, exactly what I was after. Now, to be honest with you, I'd leave it black if the black would stay, but clearly it was rubbing as it's being drawn back and forth. So I don't really want the marks on it. I'd rather it just stay metal looking, even though being that this is of a pot metal, it will actually dull down. It won't stay that shiny finish, unfortunately. It will go to more of like this kind of grey. But at least it's a different colour to the receiver, so it has a bit of contrast at least. So quite happy with that, so that's all done. I'm going to go and have a quick look at the stocks now and see if they're ready for us to reassemble this. So here's our finished stock. We can see we've got that nice OD finish here, so hopefully you can see what I was trying to recreate here. Some more texturing here that I didn't have previously, was really worn off, so that's hopefully added to that now. We've got a few marks in the stock, but I'm not too bothered about those. The foregrip came out quite nice as well. We had some areas here where it had really started to come off. Hopefully you can see that. You can just about see it in there, but again, I've added more texture to try and cover that up, and you can barely notice it now. It's this colour. So that's all good. Time to reassemble. Here we go. So this is the semi-finished article now. So you can see I've got my OD green stock there, and the receiver all put back in with that nice silver bolt now. You can see the handle and the magazine cover is still not quite what I was after, but you know, for now, it's fine. The front end, all looking good. This all went quite black, quite nicely black. The handle still needs a little bit of work, but it's okay for now. But you know, I think the black and green is a solid look. So let's just put it together, even though you're not going to be able to see the full picture. Put that on there, lock it in, and then just to finish that off, we can put our scope on. And there we go. Nicely on there. And again, I quite like the OD look I always have. This actually on camera looks very forest green, like grass green, but actually in real life it is a very dark green, which is exactly what I was looking for. So yeah, really pleased with that. So next things for this then, I'm waiting for the Action Army bolt, which hopefully will be here some point this week. I've got a couple of magazines coming, but I have also got a bipod on the way for it, and obviously the shorter outer barrel, which I'm quite looking forward to getting on there. The only issue that I can foresee with this so far, which I'm sure a lot of you will probably tell me is just a takedown thing, is that the front section here, if I get hold of the front end, so I'm going to get hold of the barrel here, I can wiggle up and down, as you can see, which is a bit unfortunate. Now, when you've got a bipod on it and you've got the rifle rest on itself, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Hopefully the Action Army will have a different method of attaching. If not, then I'm probably, I think, going to drill into the top of the barrel and attach it in here. It's attached at the top here, and what I'm thinking of doing is doing a screw through here just to hold it in position, stop it moving, because there is another screw down here which actually holds the barrel in position. So yeah, that's the plan. Like I said, hopefully this will be wearing a new outer barrel soon anyway, which will bring the overall length down, which is what I'm after. Also the Action Army bolt would be a nice addition, but worst case scenario, I'm very happy with what I've got here at the moment, so that's all fine. Right guys, well anyway, thanks for joining me today, and again, a bit of something different for us today, but any questions, fire in the comments. I'll speak to you in the next one.